Okay, so get this. Imagine ditching that fancy face cream, right, and swapping it out for something, well, something your great-grandmother might have used in her kitchen.
You talking about like lard,
Not quite. I'm talking about beef tallow.
beef tallow, like for frying.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy, right. But apparently it's making a big comeback. And not just in the kitchen. People are using it on their skin.
Really? Like as a moisturizer?
Yeah. Wild, right.
Hmm.
Claiming it does wonders for their skin. So naturally, we have to dig into this.
Well, the interesting thing is beef tallow, it's been around forever. Centuries, really. Used for all sorts of things.
Right. Like what's old is new again. But is it all hype? Or is there something to this whole beef tallow for your skin thing?
I think it's more than just hype. One of the big things is beef tallow. It's very similar to the natural oils our skin produces.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like our skin recognizes it.
Exactly. It's called biocompatibility.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it absorbs really well, which is why I think a lot of people see good results.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, but let's back up a bit. What exactly is in beef tallow? Like, what makes it so special?
Well, for one, you've got all those fatty acids, oleic acid, stearic acid, palmitic acid.
Wait, aren't those the same ones you see on all those expensive face cream labels?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
beef tallow has them naturally. Plus, you're getting a good dose of vitamins A, D, E, and K, all important for skin health.
Okay, so we're talking some serious nourishment here, but there's this one ingredient I keep hearing about, CLA.
Ah, yes. Conjugated linoleic acid. And that one's a real powerhouse, especially when it comes to anti-aging.
Because who doesn't want to fight those wrinkles, am I right? But how does it actually work?
Well, think of it like this. CLA acts as an antioxidant. It helps protect your skin from environmental damage. You know, those free radicals that cause wrinkles and fine lines?
Oh, okay, so it's like a little warrior fighting off those wrinkles. I
Yeah.
like it. But it's not just about looking younger, right? I've also heard beef tallow can be really soothing, especially for irritated skin. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely. Those fatty acids we talked about, they're essential for maintaining your skin's natural barrier. And that barrier helps keep moisture in and irritants out.
So it's not just moisturizing, it's helping your skin actually heal itself.
Right. And because it has those anti-inflammatory properties, it can be really helpful for things like eczema and psoriasis.
That's pretty amazing. But can something this simple really be better than all those fancy creams and serums out there?
That's a good question. And to answer that, we've got to look at the benefits and the limitations.
Mm.
So one thing that a lot of people like about tallow is its purity.
Purity, what do you mean by that?
It's a single ingredient product,
Mm.
pure rendered beef fat. That's it. No long list of chemicals or fillers or fragrances like you see in a lot of skincare products.
It's a great point. I bet that also means it's less likely to irritate your skin, right?
That's what a lot of people find. And remember how we were saying tallow is similar to our skin's natural oils?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very gentle.
Like you're giving your skin exactly what it needs.
Exactly. And another important aspect is sustainability. We're not raising cattle just for their tallow. It's a byproduct of the meat industry.
Ah, so it's a way to use something that might otherwise go to waste.
Precisely. Especially compared to some plant-based oils, which, require a lot of land and water and resources to produce. Tallow is a more sustainable option.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it that way. And I'm guessing it's probably easier on the wallet than those fancy creams, too.
You got it. Tallow is generally much more affordable.
Okay, so we've got the potential benefits, the science behind it, the sustainability aspect, even the affordability. But let's get practical. What do people need to know about actually using this stuff?
Well, first things first, you want to make sure you're getting good quality tallow.
Okay, so like what should people look for?
Grass-fed, organic if you can find it.
So the same way you choose good quality meat.
Exactly. The quality of the tallow really depends on the animal's diet and how it was raised.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so, and I hope this isn't a weird question, but pure tallow, what's the consistency like?
Not a weird question at all. At room temperature, it's similar to coconut oil. Solid, but soft enough to scoop out with your fingers.
Okay, so it's not like trying to rub a stick of butter on your face.
No, not at all. And if you need to, you can always warm it up a bit in your hands before applying it.
Good to know. I imagine a little goes a long way too.
You bet. It spreads really nicely.
Gotcha. So we've got sourcing, consistency. What about application? Any tips for first-timers?
Well, just like with any new skincare product, it's always smart to do a patch test first, just to make sure your skin doesn't react badly to it.
Always better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Now, we sort of danced around it, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, The smell. For those of us who might be a little squeamish about putting, booth on our face, what's the deal with the scent?
It's a valid concern. I won't lie. Unrefined tallow does have a natural aroma.
Okay, so how noticeable is it?
It's fairly mild, especially compared to other animal fats. Kind of a subtle, slightly nutty scent. But here's the good news. You can easily mask it.
Oh, really? How?
Just add a few drops of your favorite essential oil. Lavender, tea tree, peppermint, you name it.
So you can customize the scent. I love that. And speaking of customizing, are there other ways to use beef tallow? I mean, we've been talking a lot about skincare.
Oh, absolutely. Beef tallow is incredibly versatile. It's like the Swiss Army knife of natural remedies. But we'll delve into all of that in just a bit.
Ooh, I love a good cliffhanger.
So you know how we were saying beef tallow is like a multitasker? Well, it gets even better. This stuff, it's not just for your face.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Like what? Give me the rundown.
Have you ever thought about using beef tallow on your lips?
On my lips? I think I've used bacon grease in a pinch when they're chapped. Does that count?
Well, tallow, it makes a really great lip balm, especially if you're prone to dry lips. Creates like a barrier to seal in moisture.
Interesting. So ditch the expensive lip stuff and go straight for the tallow. I can get behind that. What else?
Okay, get this. Makeup remover.
Wait, really? Using oil L to remove makeup.
I know, right? Sounds crazy. But the way tallow is, molecularly, it can actually break down even waterproof mascara.
No way. My current makeup remover, it's like takes off half my eyelashes with it.
And the tallow, it's super gentle, so it cleanses and moisturizes at the same time.
Okay, I am intrigued. So, lip balm, makeup remover, there's more, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's more. You can even use tallow as a hair conditioner.
What? Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Just warm a little bit up in your hands and apply it to the ends of your hair. Tames frizz.
Adds shine. You weren't kidding about the Swiss Army knife thing.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. So we've covered skin, lips, hair. What about all those claims about beef tallow being good for your insides, too?
Now, that's where things get a little tricky. A lot of people swear by it, traditional wisdom and all that. But the scientific research, it's still catching up.
Okay, so let's break it down a bit. What about this whole immune boosting thing I keep hearing about?
Right, so beef tallow, it's naturally high in those fat-soluble vitamins, especially vitamin D.
And vitamin D is like the holy grail of vitamins these days.
Pretty much. And we know vitamin D is important for a healthy immune system.
Makes sense. So adding some tallow to your diet could give your vitamin D levels a boost and help your immune system out a bit.
That's the idea. We need more research, though, to know for sure how much of a difference it makes, whether you're eating it or using it topically.
Fair enough. Okay, what about hormone balance? I've seen that touted as a benefit too.
Yeah, so this one has to do with cholesterol.
Cholesterol, but isn't that a bad thing?
It gets a bad rap, but we actually need a certain amount to be healthy. And, tallow has cholesterol. It's also a precursor to hormones like testosterone and estrogen. So there's this theory that consuming tallow could give your body what it needs to make those hormones.
Interesting. But doesn't our body already kind of regulate that stuff on its own?
You're absolutely right. It's complicated, lots of factors involved. So could there be something to it? Maybe. But again, we need more research to know for sure.
So not a magic bullet for hormone issues then?
Right. Now, joint health. That's another one that comes up a lot.
Yeah, a few people have mentioned using tallow, like topically, to help with joint pain. Think there's anything to that?
Could be those anti-inflammatory properties we talked about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But scientifically speaking, it's still early days. We need more research to really understand how tallow might help with joint health.
So while there's definitely some buzz and maybe some truth to these potential health benefits, we should probably take it all with a grain of salt until there's more research.
Exactly. And always, always talk to your doctor before making any big changes to your diet or anything like that.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk more about actually incorporating tallow into your routine. We've established that sourcing is key, but for someone brand new to this, what should they be looking for?
We touched on it earlier, but grass-fed organic is always the gold standard. That way, the animals weren't given hormones or antibiotics, and their diet was free of, pesticides and herbicides.
So basically, like you're buying a nice steak, just, in tallow form.
Exactly. Quality matters, and thankfully, it's not that hard to find. Online, health food stores, you should be able to track it down.
Good to know. So accessible, affordable. Love it. Okay, I feel like we need to address the elephant in the room again, the smell. We talked about the scent, but for those out there who are really not into putting beef on their face, can you actually get past the smell?
It's understandable. But honestly, unrefined tallow, it's often a lot milder than people think. Way less strong than other animal fats, for sure.
Yeah.
And there are ways to work with it.
Do tell.
Essential oils, my friend. A few drops of lavender, peppermint, even tea tree oil. It can totally change the whole experience.
DIY spa day. I love it. Okay, so for someone who's ready to dive headfirst into the world of tallow, where do they even start?
I'd say grab a small jar of pure grass-fed tallow and just, play around with it. Try it as a lip balm, a moisturizer, that makeup remover we talked about.
Ooh, what about a hair mask?
Exactly. The possibilities are pretty much endless. And once you're comfortable, you can even start experimenting with making your own tallow-based products. There's a ton of recipes online.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. DIY for the win. But before we get ahead of ourselves, anything else people should keep in mind before they start slathering themselves in beef tallow?
Well, we mentioned it, but a patch test is always a good idea, just to be on the safe side,
Yeah.
especially if you've got sensitive skin. And listen to your body. What works for one person might not work for another.
Good advice for, well, pretty much anything new you're trying, not just tallow. Speaking of things to keep in mind, I want to touch on something we haven't really talked about. The ethical aspect of using beef tallow.
That's a really important point. It's something we need to consider with any animal product.
Absolutely. As consumers, we have to be mindful of where our products come from and the impact of our choices. And when it comes to tallow, that means choosing ethically raised animals.
100%. We need to be supporting sustainable and humane practices. And obviously, for people who are vegan or vegetarian, tallow's not going to be an option.
Right. It's about making informed choices that align with your values. But for those who are open to using animal products, choosing ethically sourced tallow can be a way to reduce waste.
Absolutely. Using every part of the animal. It's something that historically a lot of cultures have done.
And hopefully something that encourages better practices within the industry as a whole. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. The potential benefits of tallow, the science behind it, how to actually use it, the ethics. But I have one last question for you. So in a world where there's a new skincare ingredient every 5 minutes, could this age-old remedy, this thing our ancestors used, could it actually be, I don't know, the answer?
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've talked about the science, the possible benefits, the ethics of using tallow. But maybe, just maybe, there's something deeper here, like going back to basics, back to tradition.
Like we're realizing those old school remedies, the stuff our grandparents used, maybe they were onto something.
Exactly. Now, obviously, we need more research to really know everything about beef tallow, but it's comeback. It really gets us thinking,
Yeah.
about the products we use, what's in them, and, like you said, the power of natural remedies.
It's almost like a challenge to question things, to do our research, to be open to both the old ways and the new science. Who knows what we might discover?
Right. There's so many natural remedies out there, just waiting for us to rediscover them.
So, to everyone listening, here's our takeaway. Don't be afraid to, question things. Do your research. Be open-minded, but also, think critically. You might be surprised by what you find.
And as always, talk to your doctor before you make any big changes to your health routine or skincare routine.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of beef tallow. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.